Like y'all know.
Not that painful problem.
Perspective. Filming that too.
Do something.
Someone with a hand juice.
Yeah, and actually I run the LGBT group at Yale. So,
Oh, you're gonna come into the street?
I studied the movie. I read a paper on the movie last semester in my class, and I saw it. I don't ask. It just brings back memories. Yeah, what do you think about making really cool
Okay, you know what? See, this is she's hilarious.
Discussion with what's really interesting about this film and relationship to Paris is Burning, and sort of this is my first time seeing this version of the film, and I'm actually really pleased to see some of the changes that Wolfgang's made, because one thing we were talking about is that we sort of want to know what's going on outside of New York City. You know, we've sort of queer studies has a tendency to privilege the queer metropole as the only site of sort of viable queer cultural production, but ballroom culture, his immediate response to me was like, you know, that's so 1995, 96, you know. But I'm actually arguing that if we turn to ballroom culture, it actually allows us to rethink this notion of the performativity of gender, and also the subversive potentials of the places we call home and the people we call family.
To bump. It's time 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 to bump.
Willi Ninja. And let's see. Okay, we got also in the house Jasmine. Come on, Jasmine. And we also have speaker Jack G1G. And Luna Luis Ortiz Khan. Okay, maybe we all can just come to the front and we can open it up for some answers and questions then, please.
Maybe 7 or 8 a year. You know, it's like it was almost every other month to every month. And then you had time to prepare for a ball. Now they're just like, how many?
6 or 7 in a month.
Yeah. Yeah, and
All
over, and the kids are usually trying to prepare for them all, which is impossible because nobody has that kind of money. But it's changed. There was times when, during mine and Madonna's time, where it did get kind of writing off, we maybe do a little commercialism.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, and then
leads and their feathers, and it was just so out there and it's evident. Now, a lot of the creativity has been replaced with, you know, the high fashion labels. But, you know, I myself, as a, you know, commentator, and I see the majority of the functions, I oversee a majority of them, and as a promoter for these events, I tend to try to bring the creativity back. You know, if you make it simple and you give them just like a general outline in the category itself, you find so many people have a freedom, they have a license, you know, to bring it bigger than you would expect, because, you know, you haven't, you know, confined them to just, you know, the Chanels and being Chanel glasses. So it goes out there, and I think it's a lot more fun. People are having more fun again with it. The pressure to go out there and you know, to commit a crime in order to get some, you know, a piece to come to the ballroom scene and win a trophy, you know, outweighs it. So it's back down to the creativity of it all again. So it's getting fun again. It's starting to get fun.
And it's true, because when you do create your own things instead of going and acquiring a label, I still remember one young man, this is before all at Paris Dupree Ball, and it was for futuristic, which is, I guess, now is bizarre. And he was all from head to toe silver, and he was wrapped in lights that were going to the music, but he had to be plugged in. But he had, but that, I don't know where he got the extension plugs, because that bitch went from the back of the ballroom to the front of the stage. But he was working on Trans-Europe Express. And when I mean he rocked it so, and I actually used that idea once in the show. And I can't remember who the child was, but it's stuff like that that will stay in your mind, because being me, working in the fashion industry, I see labels all the time, you know, and I like to see creativity, because, I mean, come on, look at Lost Infinity when he came out as a little alien, and then the outfits with the birds on it, and that's...
Yeah, he's so creative, he's scary.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, no matter what you ask for, you know, he's definitely there with it, and it's amazing to see him bring it. And I think that's the pride I get from, you know, putting the shows together when I promote a function, and I spend the time to think of some categories, to actually see people bring them to life. It's the most amazing part of the ball to me. It's like that creativity will never be matched, and the energy.
And that's the talent too, because now, because it's going different directions, this Friday is the House of Xavier, which is taking it to a poetry level. So I think it has about 5 categories: poetry in the wig. But I mean, best verbal slam. It's very. I judge it with Michael Musto and everything. You should come. You guys should come Friday. I think it's at the Bowery Bar. But there's different levels of creativity, and it's again taking it and using the mind as well. And I like that. And but also see, since I had to perform Jack here, this child is gifted. He's a very gifted MC right off the bat on any beat or any song. He can turn it inside out. So what
I came upon the ballroom scene in the late '80s. I'm a son of Avis, is what I call it. I was able to be a part of the House of Pendovis, which was one of the first houses that that kind of ruled the ballroom scene. And I learned a lot from watching my mother, who was Avis Pendovis. And with that, I was able to now, as a mother, I was able to bring and remember some of the things that Avis taught me. And that's like the caring of the kids, making sure that, you know, they're in school, making sure that they're still doing the things that they're supposed to do. My whole idea is to think outside of the ballroom, because I'd rather you succeed outside the ball than at an actual ball, you know. That's what will make me proud. So, so that I got out of Avis. Avis was very that. She really wanted us to do more outside, and you know, and eventually, once in a while, she would like us to do like a little, you know, something at a ball, but it wasn't a big deal at all. And I think that's why I won Mother of the Year, and I was so happy for that, because you know, that showed me that I was there for my kids, you know. And I have about 20 kids that are under 21, and I have a few that are a little older than that. But the ones I govern and I'm always on top are the kids that I also teach at the Harvey Milk High School, because that's where I teach, and that's the gay high school in New York City. I'm always on top of them, trying to make sure that while they're in school, you know, we're not thinking about the balls. You know, they see me in the hallways, and I say, go back to the classroom. I'm not your mother today. You know, you know, go do what you have to do, and you know, later I'll see you in the lunchroom. You know, that type of thing. So, you know, we kind of have that language. What else?
Of, you know, gay rights and gay culture, and it's so out there. So the kids are coming out younger and younger and younger. And, you know, like ourselves in my house, I have a child that's, you know, 14 years old. But if you see his body, he has a body of an 18-year-old. because he's very disciplined in martial arts. So now he's wrapped up into this ballroom scene, so now you have to be afraid. We're totally afraid of him being out there and getting, with the wrong person. We got to keep instilling, the importance of getting your education, getting out there and having another, outlet besides the ballroom, even though that's where you can be gay at, because he has to be in the closet at school and at home because of circumstances. But I don't want the ballroom scene and just the ballroom kids to just be his everything. He has to understand there has to be an equal balance, because once you win a trophy or you become legendary in our world, you can't go to the Gap and want a pair of jeans and say, this is the trophy I won yesterday. So it's very hard, again, because they're coming out younger, and it's like you find yourself like really being a mother. It's not a joke, it's not just a title. Really, like, when you got to come down on them and let them know, hey, you cannot go to this bowl, or you cannot be at this club because you didn't do what you had to do in school. Or, I even asked some of the younger ones to see the report cards. Because it's important.
Right? And see, that's where, and with my house, the same thing, is I have chapters through the U.S. And I've gone through parents that if you can't parent them right, then you need not to be in that position, because my thing is all my kids have to be in school or working, doing outreach programs, and if they're not, I've already put 3 kids out, as much as I love them, because sometimes you got to give them that tough love, because when you give them, when they think you're too nice, they think they take that rope and choke you with it. Richard, who runs my New York chapter, he knows, because we just had to, some of them get so wrapped up, if you don't say chill, and all they see is the ballroom, when if they're not in school, I don't see it.
But then you look at Jasmine, who was part of my house for years, and we went through her transformation, her stages, and then like to see that she's actually opened the door without even realizing it. She did something for herself, but it actually opened the door for a whole community. That she's a prime example of, because you are a third gender, there's nothing that is not available to you, and she's done an outstanding job, and like we're all so proud of her for that reason.
That was the lead into Jasmine, who graduated now, right? She's a graduate of Syracuse. What was the experience like? I mean, you actually went through the whole process of going to school and transformation during the whole process. What is that like?
I don't even know where to begin on something like that, but I don't know. In the documentary, I stated that, I ran away from my mom. I had no place to go home for many years. I would move from one place to another, and I just did not like that. I wanted a stable place to live, and I knew that the only way to do that was to go to school, to do what I had to do, get my heads into those books. And I did that, and for a while, I didn't walk balls so much throughout those years, but I'm still present. I made it to the major balls, and still made my name known throughout those years, and I did it. I had to do it any way I could. I had sex work. I'm gonna admit it. I did sex work just to be able to buy books, be able to pay for school, and it wasn't easy, but I did it and graduated in May.
And what you work now?
Excuse me?
Where are you working now? What are you doing now?
Well, I majored into social work. In New York State, you can't work as a social worker unless you have a master's. So that's my next goal. I want to get my master's in social work. But right now, I need money because I haven't worked in so long. So I'm working as an HIV test counselor at Callan Lord Community Health Center, which is a GLBT health clinic, a clinic where the GLBT community could go to and not be ashamed of their sexual orientation or their gender identity.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how the whole ballroom scene and the houses are economically sustained? I haven't quite understood. Do the children live in the house? Is there a location?
I wavered at that time, but I did. I didn't also want to name a fashion name, so I created House of Ninja because my neighborhood is Asian. Most of my friends were Asian. I grew up in Oriental Club in high school and college. So I went through many Asian names and finally came up with Ninja. Reason being that ninjas are almost like invisible assassins, and when they strike hard. And when they disappear, but you're always wondering if they're coming back. So that's why I picked it. And also I kept going, Willi Ninja. Willi. I mean, I tried every other name and it just didn't work, so it stuck like that. And the House of Ninja has been ever since, I formed the name in '81, but we didn't walk until, because we weren't ready. We didn't walk until about '84. And we prepped because if I had the audacity to form a house, I better be sure that we could do something. You know, and as far as the rest of the houses, I mean, way before me. Of course, like I said, Pendarvis, Dupree, LaBeija, Ebony, Omni. You would, I guess, how would you say?
Well, you can. I mean, anybody can basically start a house, really, but it's the amount. It depends what respect you're going to get when you debut your house, and in the matter of how you've done it. We've had people break away from houses and start their own, you know, houses only, you know, for it to work for about a year, and then just find that all the original members are going back to where they came from. So it's all in a matter of, you know, having some sort of history and also having the respect of the ballroom community to honor and respect your house. Because if they don't, they'll give you a hell of a long way to go. So, yeah, I'm so lucky.
How do you maintain, you just raised the question, people start a new house and then a year later they're back to the old house. How do you maintain a house?
There's also mothering skills, mothering and father, parenting skills, because just because you open a house, you better make sure that you treat all your kids with respect. Because a lot of times somebody might open a new house, but they're they're bulldozing them. You have to do this, you got to do that, do it my way. I don't care, I don't want to listen to you, you have nothing to say. Kids have opinions too. You can listen to the opinion, you might not agree. So a lot of times what happens is that the kids leave because they're not happy the way the leadership is going. And then that house fell, when you have the majority of the kids leaving, then that means the house is failing.
So the backbone is the mother and the father.
Really? As everybody getting along. Like with our house, what we try to do is when people come to the door, it's not like a decision where the mother and the father just makes and say, okay, we're going to put you in the house. I always try to explain to them, we're going to question this individual, you know, light questions, nothing too heavy, but, you know, you guys have to eventually bond with this person. You know, there's no sense of having a member in the house that nobody else likes or nobody else knows. So it's a voting process with us when we're putting members in the house, and so therefore everybody has a voice, everybody feels that they have a voice. To keep a house strong and keep it going, again, the communication, the meetings, making sure that everybody who's going to walk is prepared, they're not just going out there half-assed, you know, because it gets very discouraging, especially at the balls. Like, we're sugarcoating it right there, but if you were to go to a ball and see so many people, I mean, people get chopped, you know, you would really gag at some of the things that, you know, they're told, and, you know, how their feelings get hurt. I mean, it's all part of the ball, you know. Shade is always going to be part of the ballroom scene.
Yeah, I mean, like what RR said. Like if you're walking for face and your grill's missing, and RR will tell you on the mic in front of everybody, child, sit down, because you have no teeth, you are not serving me face tonight. And I mean, you know, that's still being nice.
So a lot of
traded the Vogue category. I guess you figure we'll see, well, who's going to get him, either fashion or music. It ended up being music that time. And then 2 months later at another ball, which was Extravaganza Ball, Terry Mugler, the designer, was there, and Pat said dance. I was like, why? She said trust. So I said, okay. I danced, I carried on. I see this gorgeous white man looking at me, and I was like, oh. You know, and then and then I see Pat gabbing, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And I walk over, and she says, Willie, I didn't know the face, I knew the name. Terry Mugler, Willi Ninja, Terry Mugler. I was like, oh shit. So he said, I want you to dance again. I was like, why? He says, I just want to see the way you move. So I said, okay, because you know I combine mine sometimes with runway. And the next thing you know, he says, come here, I want you to do my collections. So a few months later, I was in Paris doing the music videos in England and shifting to Paris to do the collections. So I hit the music and the fashion scene on the same time. And during the editing of Deep in Vogue, the first Vogue video, not the first time voguing was seen in a video, but the first all-out Vogue video, Lauren Hutton was Malcolm's girlfriend, best friends with Madonna, so the editing of the video, I performed with her, she asked me to do a show with her at Brooklyn Academy of Music for her Don't Bungle the Jungle, her Brazilian rainforest thing. And hence the craze, and she followed the tour, my tour with Malcolm for a year, and then lo and behold, she had Jose and Louis, and it just skyrocketed. Now, history on as far as Vogue. First time Vogue was ever seen was Jody Watley's second video called Still a Thrill. Tyrone Proctor, we were in a dance group together, choreographed that, and he was best friends with her. Second video, Taylor Dane. Shake was a choreographer as well. Was Bobby Brown's choreographer, was in that video. It was weak. I mean, because it was, you know, a straight boy trying to do a little vogue. Then there was Liz Torres, a underground house classic. I forget but you know the one where she's reading. It's one of those where the girl is just reading the guy to Phil. Because he's mine. Oh yeah, one of those. Then it was my video. Then it was Queen Latifah coming to my house. Then Delight, good beat. Then Madonna. So it was like, I wasn't even the first to even introduce it. So it was like down the chain. So it has been seen, oh God, and yes. When it did, because of Madonna, get famous, I saw it on, what was that show? With all the three little girls and the three guys. Full House. The day that I saw a little girl go, the grandmother said, trying to teach her how to do a Greek dance. She says, no, Grandma, we're going to vogue. I fell off my bed. I said, good Lord. You know? So it's come a long way. It's given me a career. And now I own the model agency and it competes with the majors. But also it's because of reputation but from the ballroom community. I honed my skills there because, honey, to get up in front of 700 queens and try to do your thing, and they can be vicious when they want to be. So when I finally got to Paris and the other stage, it was like, okay, whatever, honey. I dealt with the nastiest people on the planet. And you put 700 black gay men in one room, and you know that shade is going to be so thick. You better bring the acetylene torch to get through it, and I did. And that's what it does. It makes you stronger, and it improves your skills. I mean, look at the talent that you have right here, especially this young lady who I'm so proud of. And I say young lady. It's amazing. And people got to remember, when it did, because they've taken from us sometimes, if not given back. But there's times where it was good that they did, like when they did the first Love Ball, because it was giving back, you know, to the AIDS community, which was the first crossover, like major ball, not first crossover, but the first major ball that took the up and the downtown houses together, you know, the fashion houses and the houses to compete to try, you know. It was done with good intent. I think it could have been better because I think it should have catered more to the houses, but it catered more to the fashion industry. It was good intent, I just felt it lacked in that text. But hopefully it's getting better. Now you have, like I said, celebrities coming. Even the mini balls that I used to do, I've had supermodels come and judge, and it's just fun that they're accepting.
Also, some of the designers that the houses are named after, a lot of them, when they catch wind of it, you know, we used to be Mizrahis, you know, in honor of Isaac Mizrahi, until he went in and started doing stuff at Target, so he dropped that. But like, you know, you have Manola Blahnik. It was in a magazine recently that they acknowledged the House of Blahnik, right? You have Terry Mugler, who always knew the existence of the House of Mugler. You had the House of Chanel, who actually sued the Ball House of Chanel for them to start using Chanel International, because they didn't, you know, it was copyright infringement with the, you know, the double C. So, you know, so it's out there, and they do know of it, and some people just, you know, embrace it, and some people don't want anything to do with it. But it's always going to live on. It's always going to thrive.
I mean,
for me, I think it's just living with HIV. For me, it's important to be judged by the way that I look, because, you know, supposedly I'm not supposed to be, you know, attractive or alluring because I have the virus. So for me,
I'm sorry.
So for me, that's important. You know, it's important for somebody to say, you know, Luna could, you know, he's beautiful. Look at him, you know, and because I use that as sort of like. I'm like a walking billboard. It's important for me to let as many people know, so they know that you don't have to look a certain way. So for me, that's my drive. It's actually having the virus. That's what drives me to, you know, and also my photography and all of that. But it's basically living 18 years with the virus that pushes me.
And then you end up making so many good relationships as well. I mean, in the scene, you know, you become friends with so many people, you know, and sometimes even at the balls, you know, tempers flare and things get said, but at the same time, there's certain people that you're so connected with after all these years, and each other being each other's support system and seeing each other, you know, transform right before your eyes, that it's like, wow, these are my friends and these are my people. And for me to just, I myself, I don't care if I win an Oscar tomorrow, I would never leave it without going back and giving back something, because I felt like I've learned so much When I first came out, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know the ballroom scene. I didn't even know the gay life at all. Like, and I was lucky enough to come out, and under the people that came out that were able to guide me and treat me and teach me what not to do out being gay, you know, and what to do and how to carry yourself. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I'm here safe and, you know, happy and living. So I try to pass that back. I try to pass the fun and give people that are looking for something to do the memories to always keep with them.
And for me, I remember what it gave me. It gave me my career. So when I went back into the scene, it's also to show a positive image that you can do other things. Also, I've gone in, even when I wasn't, you know, in the scene, and I've taken different members from different houses. It wasn't about taking everybody from the group of Ninja. No, it was taking the best of the best and taking them on tour or introducing them to different artists. Like recently, a couple of Ninjas and Alliance Milan were in Venice with a ballet company with Carol Armitage, who also choreographed the Blonde Ambition tour, as well as Stanley Angel has been with me. Jose Revlon has toured with me, and it's just different. I believe in it's like they have to see what we have to offer dance-wise, because if you notice, you saw the different styles of vogue, right? But you don't see it in music videos really, except for the little dip from Christina Milian. But you see hip-hop dancing always. You see break dancing still. Why can't you see? And I tell the kids, why don't you go out on auditions as well? As well as you can compete in the ballroom, you can compete in auditions and show them, be proud of who you are. You know, sometimes I think it's because it's associated, I consider it an art form. I don't care who created it, it's an art form.
And it really stands out because
it stands out. And we need to get it out there. It's in the arts right now, it's been accepted. I mean, I've done it with different ballet companies in New York through Carol Armitage and with the Doug Elkins company. So it was accepted in the arts and by the critics, which was a miracle. But it's not enough. It's not enough, and I think it's got to progress further so that maybe if they accept the dance more and see it as art, they see, okay, maybe they'll accept the gay community a little bit more as well. I mean, that's just my belief. You know, hopefully maybe to be in competition in the Olympics.
What keeps me walking balls is the fact, well, when I decided to transition and become me, a woman, I decided that I wanted to break all stereotypes. I did not want anyone to think of someone who is transgender as someone who's a drag queen, someone who's gay, who sucks dick for a living. I did not want that. What keeps me going balls is the fact that I want to be able to connect with young transgender girls and give them that positive message and that hope that, you know, there is hope for us girls. You know, we aren't at the bottom of the food chain. You know, we will make it. And that's what keeps me going to the balls. Yeah.
Yes, I will direct my question to you, because do you fear that the more glamorous and the more successful the movement gets, that this aspect of it will be pushed aside? This support system, the real success is the people that lift themselves up from the trouble and maintain a sense of integrity, right? I mean, this is, for me, the real success. And they're